Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 16th of December and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We'll take all the articles, we'll simplify them, and along with the way forward and background, the discussions will be taken up. Before starting up, I would like to tell you that if you are new here, you can download the explainer PDF of all the articles that we are going to discuss. Okay, in this explainer PDF, you can get all the detailed notes along with the background. Even the editorials are also covered here in this explainer PDF. Now this PDF is available on our Telegram channel, and the link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in YouTube, or you can directly visit Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil. Now, before moving on in the discussion, let's take a view on the newspaper so that we can understand that what is the placement of the articles and what articles are actually important for the examination. Now, here we have the first page of the Hindu newspaper, and the first article talks about the China builds ropeway roads near the Trijunction. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the Trijunction between the three countries, that is the Bhutan, India and China. Now at that, basically this particular Trijunction, it is a very important strategic location, and we have seen just a couple of days back there was the clashes that happened between the soldiers of China and India, and these clashes have happened around the in the Tawang sector of the Arunachal Pradesh. Now the China, basically there is the unresolved boundaries between the India and China that are there, and often China claims the parts of the Arunachal Pradesh, and in that particular confrontation, in that particular line, this confrontation has happened. Now understand, for the examination that we are preparing, now you are not required to see a Google map photograph and to analyze all the hills, all the places where that confrontation happened, where the ropeway has been developed, etc. No, you are not required to do that thing. And again, I'm telling you that there will be there will be a lot of explainer videos, etc., that will be coming, but for examination, not that much important. One thing, okay, what is important is, guys, that basically this India China relations is important, but in this article you don't need to track the exact location, etc. Okay, now the side article states can enact the laws on the uniform civil code, law minister tells the Rajya Sabha. We'll see this particular article with respect to the exam as what it is talking about. Then the advertisements, etc., not important. In the city section, the regional crime related news, fine related news, etc., has been given. Not very much important for the examination. Okay, moving on in this particular direction, guys. So directly, okay, and one more thing, Tamil Nadu stops auctions of the stolen Nataraj idol into the France. So basically understand this particular thing, that idols are being stolen and they are being auctioned and all such kind of things. These articles are not important. However, with respect to the art and culture, when we talk about the Nataraj, now basically when we talk about the Nataraj, what Nataraj signifies, what are the postures of the Nataraj, what these mudras signify, these are the things which are statically important in art and culture, but these developments are not important. Then coming to editorial section, and in the editorial, the first article, the big message from the Kurhani by election. Now this is a political article talking about the stakes of the basically the BJP, JDU, RJD. Fine, what have been the stakes there. So not important article. However, if you are interested in the regional politics, you can see that. But for examination, much substance is not given here. Then reflections on the fading principles of non-intervention. We'll see this particular article. This article is talking about the non-intervention vis-a-vis the three wings of the state. Okay, old is not gold. So basically, in the Himachal Pradesh, new chief minister has talked about restoring of the old pension scheme. Okay, a delayed end. Okay, so basically, guys, now basically the article is talking about the basically Morocco roads on the hopes of the Arabs and Africa almost to very last. Okay, so basically the FIFA and all such kind of things are being discussed here. Now in the article, again, much substance is not there. Then further moving on, is the RTA Act fulfilling its promise? We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Then guys, an exile and always dreaming of hope. So this is a notebook article. In the notebook article, the journalist gives some account from their own life. Then text and context, dominant electoral performance into the state elections. So basically, guys, in the state elections, the performance of the different political parties, etc., has been given here. Then what is the Kerala's university law amendment bill? Okay, so now the article will see with respect to the examination. Then guys, moving on, so as I am using the Delhi edition on the Delhi edition, the second page of the text and the context today has not come, but I have checked it into the other editions. The page number 2 of the text and the context, it is the limelight article from the movie. So therefore the article anyhow is not important. Okay, so that article is not important. Moving on, need a new appointment system to fill vacancies in higher judiciary. We'll see this particular article also with respect to the examination. Then Bihar illicit liquor tolls. Okay, huge tragedy into the Bihar. Then guys, here we can see that the Rajya Sabha has discussed the effects of the global warming and the steps to tackle it. Now the global warming is becoming a really big problem, and to tackle the climate change, even recently the COP27 was held in the Egypt. Okay, so basically here in the Rajya Sabha discussions have also happened, but actually much important thing is not mentioned in the article. Fine, then moving on. Supreme Court to hear plea against the poll, electoral bond scheme. So the next month that particular petition will be heard, and when it will happen, we'll see this thing. Till then, no need to follow it. Then moving on, the political articles, etc., not important for the examination. Then moving on, public servants can be found guilty on graft of on circumstantial proof. So we'll see this article. Curbing air pollution in India needs efforts across South Asia. Very good article with respect to the examination. We'll see this. Then US created Indo-Pacific concept to contain China. We'll see this particular article. One killed in Afghan Taliban shell border town. Not important article for the examination. Then Sensex falls 1.4%. Now the Sensex falling, rising, corporate trends, etc. Not very much important for the examination. Okay, then guys, the political trends, etc. have also been given here. Subscription to gold bond schemes will open on December 19. Okay, fine. So much important articles are not there onto the economy page, and then we have the sports page. So this is all about the newspaper overview, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Okay, starting up. So guys, we every class we start with the GS quotation so that you can complement them with your GS answers in either paper 1, 2, 3 or 4. So today we'll take the quotation from the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of the Indian Constitution. So Dr. Ambedkar says that a great man is different from an eminent one in that he is ready to be the servant of the society. So what is the hallmark of a great man? That he is ready to sacrifice for the society. He is ready to serve the society. Even the Gandhiji said that the surest way to discover yourself is to serve, to get submerged into the service of the other people. So the one who is ready to be servant, the one who is ready to sacrifice for the society is the great man, and that it is the great man, and that is the quality that every public servant should also have. You can use this particular idea in GS paper number 4, ethics, GS paper number 4. Now, before moving on, guys, I just want to apologize that yesterday we were not able to stream the video because I got some unforeseen emergency, and I was just contained in that emergency till the late evening. So I did not got the time, though we have said that we'll stream the video, but situations were such that we were not able to do that. So I am apologetic for that particular thing. I hope that you'll understand and you'll please cooperate for that. Now, taking up the article, the first article. So the first article, that is, the states can enact laws on the Uniform Civil Code. Law Minister tells the Rajya Sabha. Now, this article is actually very important one. Why? Because in this particular year, actually, in fact, in the last 1 year, there are multiple developments on the Uniform Civil Code that has happened, and multiple number of times the Uniform Civil Code has came in the news. So I am expecting that a question might be asked in the mains examination, okay, on this particular line. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, and in fact, in the past also the question has been there. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, let's understand some of the basics and where this article will be important. So this particular article will be important in GS paper number 1 as well as GS paper number 2. Okay. Now, basically, when we talk about, guys, the legal system, there are the criminal laws that are there, and then there are the civil laws that are there. Criminal laws that are there, and then there are the civil laws that are there. Fine. Within the civil laws, there are the personal civil laws that we have. Now, criminal laws particularly pertain to the criminal activities such as the murder, kidnapping, rape, etc. Fine. And within the civil laws, the property disputes, all these kind of things will come. And within the civil laws, there are the personal civil laws that we have, and the personal civil laws pertain to 4 matters broadly. That is, the number 1 is marriage, number 2 is divorce, number 3 is adoption, and number 4 is inheritance. So these four matters broadly are discussed into the personal laws. Now when we talk about India, India has a uniform criminal law. Uniform criminal law, it means you are Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or you belong to any other religion, you belong to any section, for criminal acts there will be the same treatment that will be there. But in the matters of the civil personal laws, basically the India gives the certain freedoms to the communities, that they can have their own laws, for particularly for example for marriage. Now I want to just give you one example. Now when we talk about the personal civil laws of the Muslim community, so the girls can get married once they attain puberty. Now a girl attains puberty at age of around 14 to 15 years. So it means a girl of 14 to 15 year can get married. But this particular provision at the same time comes in conflict with the Prevention of Child Marriage Act 2006, because in this particular act it's provided that a girl should be married at 18 and a boy should be married at 21 minimum. But here you can see that the personal law is providing that they can get married at puberty. So obviously the personal law often goes in conflict with the laws of the country, and it happens in many times. For example, when we talk about the divorce, there was the triple talaq, instant triple talaq, that was there. Instant triple talaq many number of times was exploitative of women. We invalidated that particular thing with the Muslim Women Act of 2019. So one particular thing was restored, but still there are many practices which are being done into the name of personal civil laws, but these practices sometimes are against the women rights. Sometimes these activities are based on some kind of some kind of old thinkings, etc. So therefore there is suggestion that has been given from time and time again, that bring the uniform civil code. Okay, so to bring a uniform civil code. Now when we talk about uniform civil code, already we have article 44 in the directive principle of state policy, DPSP, and article 44 provides that whenever it is possible, uniform civil code should be brought by the state. Okay, now from time and time again there are the demands that are coming that UCC should be brought, etc. In this particular direction there are some developments that have happened recently. Just I want to give you the example of the two latest developments that have happened. For example, Uttarakhand became the first state to set up a panel to explore possibility of common civil code. Recently Gujarat government also announced that they are intending of bringing the UCC. Okay, just around the assembly elections they provided, and even Madhya Pradesh is planning to form a panel or to bring UCC. Now a question comes, when we talk about UCC, can state governments bring UCC for their respective states? Is UCC a concept that will be brought by union government for the entire country, or states can also bring UCC, Uniform Civil Code, for their own states? This is something that's happening. Now this question was asked in Rajya Sabha to law minister, and the law minister had said that personal laws, okay, personal civil laws such as succession, will, joint family, partition, family and partition, marriage, divorce, these particular matters relate to entry 5 in list 3 of the concurrent list. Okay, entry 5 of the concurrent list. Now when we talk about Constitution of India, we know within Indian Constitution 7th schedule provides three types of list, that is union list, state list, and concurrent list. Concurrent list is one where both the state as well as the center can make the law. So therefore if a subject is mentioned in concurrent list, both can make the law, and all the subjects, majorly the subjects which are there in personal civil laws, they are mentioned in concurrent list entry number 5. So therefore by logic both the center and the states can make the law. So yes, states can make the law on UCC, they can bring UCC in their own states. That is something that's provided. Moreover, it's also been provided by the law ministry that though article 44 in constitution provides that the state need to secure the uniform civil code throughout the territory of India, but as of now, few days back this article came, actually we have discussed it also. As of now, union, entire country level rollout of the UCC is not being planned out. This is the exact issue that's going on. Now we will move beyond the scope of this particular article, and I will like to give you some additional content also, so that if a question comes in exam we can write that. So here we have the example, we what Supreme Court says on this particular matter. So Supreme Court in past has appreciated the possibility that UCC can be implemented. For example, Supreme Court has recently held the example of Goa. Now, when we talk about Goa, Goa is the Indian state which is having the UCC from a long time, and it has said that UCC has worked well in Goa, and on the lines of the Goa, UCC could be implemented for the country also. But when we talk about Goa's Uniform Civil Code, it has problems again. For example, the Civil Code of Goa was given by Portuguese. Okay, now here there are certain relaxations and the exemptions that are there, and these relaxations are actually defeating the entire spirit of Uniform Civil Code. For example, polygamy. Okay, polygamy is allowed in the Hindus. Okay, so what is a polygamy? One male marrying the multiple females, that is polygamy. So polygamy is allowed for certain Hindus. Okay, then after that, the Sharia Act of Muslim has not been extended into the Goa. Then when we talk about the Catholics have been given much relaxations. For example, the concessions have been given to the Catholics. Catholics, they need not to register their marriages, and the priest can dissolve marriages which are performed into the church. So again, the marriages are not being taken under a legal system. So there are relaxations, and this entire spirit, okay, different law for Catholics, different relaxation for Hindus. At the end of the day, UCC's spirit is getting defeated. Supreme Court has said that UCC can be implemented. For example, in multiple judgments, that is Shah Bano Begum judgment of 1985, Supreme Court suggested. Then Supreme Court also suggested UCC's application in India in Sarla Mudgal judgment. And then recently in 2019 in Polo Contino judgment, Supreme Court again suggested we should explore the implementation of UCC. So three Supreme Court judgments name have been provided here. Keep these judgments name in your mind. Then next is, when we talk about the Law Commission has actually given a very balanced kind of view in this particular direction. What the balanced view Law Commission has given, I'll explain Law Commission's viewpoint, and then I'll explain why we are calling it as a balanced viewpoint. Now, Law Commission in 2018 presented a consultation paper on reform of the family law, and Law Commission here provided that that a unified nation such as India doesn't needs to have a uniformity of the law as well. We should allow the communities to have their different laws. UCC is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage in India. We rather should reform the personal laws, and within the personal laws, wherever there is discrimination with the women that's happening, where the personal laws are backward looking, those particular sections in the personal law should be reformed, and the complete pan-India UCC should not be brought. It's been provided that discriminatory practices, prejudices, stereotypes within the religion should be studied and should be amended. Now, understand this particular thing. Basically, when we talk about UCC, so basically there have been issues in the past. For example, as we talk about India, we know that basically Hinduism is the is the religion which is followed by the majority people in India. Now, often what has happened, there is a threat the minorities have expressed often. They have expressed a threat that in the name of UCC, Hindu religion's customs, Hindu religion's practices may be imposed on them. Now, obviously, that's not true. Obviously, that's not true, but there is a threat, there is a fear in the minority's mind that is there. Moreover, in the present times, we find that there are religious polarizations and mistrust that has increased, and this particular threat might be enhanced, and even the political advantage of this particular thing can also be taken up. So right now the situation is very much sensitive. It might be believed that in the name of UCC, Hinduization of the different religions is being done. It might be seen in this particular direction. So therefore, it is very much important that such a practice should happen only after consensus of all the communities that has been taken up, and taking that consensus will take time. So immediately, rather than implementing UCC, what we can do, we can just identify those sections. For example, if you remember here, when we talk about the marriageable age for the girls in the in the Islamic community, so they can marry at the age of around at the time of puberty. This is one provision that can be amended. Provision with respect to the divorce can be amended and all such kind of things. Okay, so this is all about this particular matter, and holistically we have discussed it. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay. Sir, here adoption is related to adoption of child or something else. Preeti, adoption is related to the adoption of child only. Okay, moving on. Now, this is a very important article, and actually a very different viewpoint has been given in this article. First of all, let's read the heading of the article and then we'll go what are the findings of the article. Article reads, curbing air pollution in India needs efforts across South Asia, World Bank report. So recently, World Bank report on air pollution has been released, and this World Bank report on air pollution has given some very interesting findings. Now, by the way, this particular article will be important for GS paper number 3, issues of environment, issues related to the pollution, environment pollution and environment pollution many a times can also be important in GS1 geography as well. GS1 geography, particularly here we'll see that thing as well. Now, before going in this particular article, what this article is talking about, this article is saying that pollution needs not to be seen as a microscopic, as a problem in a limited domain, For example, when we talk about pollution in Delhi, we attribute that the Delhi's pollution is because of the conditions that are emerging in Delhi itself. But no, the Delhi's pollution is because of the activities of the nearby regions as well. For example, when we talk about the winter pollution problem, because of the stubble burning that happens in Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, Delhi faces a very big problem. Then on a very big level also, these particular kind of situations prevail. Now, what this article is saying, listen very carefully. This article says that India has six large air sheds. What do we mean by air sheds? Air sheds, actually, suppose, uh, just a minute, I'll explain this concept of air sheds. Suppose this is one big region. Okay, now in this particular region, what we have done, we have made the boundaries, artificial boundaries. Okay, for example, this is state A, this is state B, this is state C, this is state D, but the winds don't understand these boundaries. So basically what happened, there is a large wind parcel that will prevail over multiple states, sometimes multiple countries also. Now what's being provided? It's being provided that as one wind packet is prevailing this entire region, so even if let's say a lot of pollution is being emitted in B state, that particular pollution will spill over in A state, D state, C state, or all the states that are there in this particular region. So if there is pollution in the D state, it's not because of the activities happening in that state, it's because of the activities happening in other states. Fine, it's because these all states are surrounded under a same air parcel, air shed. So according to the World Bank report, fine, it's being provided that India has 6 large air sheds, and some of these air sheds are being shared with the Pakistan also, and within these air sheds the pollutants are traveling from one region to another region. So understand this particular thing, that if we want to reduce the particulate matter, if we need to reduce the pollutants in one state, we need to look for that entire air shed, and then under that entire air shed reforms are to be brought. Now understand this particular thing. When we talk about the South Asia, it's being provided that over 60% of the South Asia is exposed to high pollution. Okay, it is exposed to the high pollution, PM 2.5. Fine, it is high, basically into the danger zone. They are prevalent. Now, 6 major air sheds in South Asia which are there. Number one is the West Central IGP. IGP means Indo-Gangetic Plains. West Central IGP, and this includes Pakistan's Punjab, India's Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, the parts of Rajasthan, Chandigarh, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so basically the Western Central IGP It includes all these particular regions. So if Pakistan is doing some activity which is leading to pollution, Pakistan's pollution will be reflected in all those regions that we have discussed here. Second airshed in India is the Central Eastern IGP. IGP again stands for Indo-Gangetic Plains. It consists Bihar, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Bangladesh, then Middle India, Odisha, Chhattisgarh. Then again there is one more part of Middle India which contains Eastern Gujarat and Western Maharashtra. Then northern central Indus River Plain which contains Pakistan, part of Afghanistan, okay. And then sixth is southern Indus Plain and further west which includes South Pakistan, western Afghanistan and eastern Iran, okay. Now some fragments of these two are also there in India, okay. So these are the 6 airsheds that are there. Now understand, when we talk about pollution, pollution is particularly a very big problem around Delhi. Now Delhi is under Western Central IGP airshed and here Pakistan is included, okay. So basically if Pakistan will not reduce the pollution, impact will not be visible in India. Now understand little bit conceptual things. When we talk about the wind direction, it plays a very important role in dispersal of pollutants. For example, when the wind direction is predominantly northwest to the southeast, fine. So when wind direction is northwest to southeast, 30% of the air pollution in Indian Punjab will come from the Punjab province in Pakistan. So 30% pollution will come from Pakistan, Punjab. And on average, 30% of the air pollution in the cities of Bangladesh, that is the Dhaka, Chittagong, Khulna, will be from India. Okay, so because of Indian population, Bangladesh will suffer, and because of Pakistan's pollution, India will suffer. Okay, so this is something. So therefore, it is being provided that if India, Delhi particularly, if Delhi wants to implement air pollution control measures by 2030, then entire South Asian region needs to implement that particular thing altogether. Only then the pollution will come down. So rather than focusing on microscopic approaches, we need to focus on macroscopic approach here. So this is something that's being provided by the World Bank report on air pollution. Fine, I hope you have understood it, and this is actually a very good article, a beautiful article, giving a very good and an interesting dimension. That's all about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, the next article we've taken from the text and the context page. What are Kerala University's Laws Amendment Bill? Okay, so this particular article will see just as an example in issues of frictional federalism. Okay, now before going in this article, I will give you some of brief background first of all. Basically, in the past few days, there are multiple confrontations that have happened between Governor of Kerala and Government of Kerala. The similar kind of thing has also happened in case of Tamil Nadu. Now, when we talk about Governor and the Chief Minister and largely the Council of Ministers. First of all, Office of Governor was constituted so that Governor can ensure that constitutional proprietariness is being followed. But over the years, what has happened? Governor's position has become politicized. Why? Because governor is appointed by president, and as a president majorly acts on the aid and advice of the prime minister and council of minister at the center. So it's being said that basically governor is a position that is acting as the center agent of the center. Though Supreme Court provided that governor is not the agent of center, governor is an independent constitutional position, but still the critics have branded many a number of times governor acting as the agent of the center, particularly in the cases where government in center and government into the state are from the different political parties. Okay, that is something that has happened. Now in the case of Kerala, it has often been observed that Kerala's governor had went against the decisions of the state government and often had passed certain comments which were not constitutional. Certain controversies I'll tell you here which have been there. However, we don't need to go too much into the political dimension of this particular article. Basically, what happened recently, the Kerala government passed the Lokayukta Amendment Bill, as well as they also passed the University Law Amendment Bill. Now, as per the Constitution of India, governor is bound by the aid and advice of the State Council of Minister. Now, though the bills were passed and it was advised that governor should give the assent, but what happened? Governor did not give assent on these particular bills. This is one issue that happened. Moreover, after that, governor has openly said this particular thing, that governor can dismiss the ministers who will criticize the governor. Moreover, governor also said in the context of the finance minister of the Kerala that governor will withdraw the pleasure from the office of the finance minister. Now understand this thing, that when we talk about the ministers, in the state, they hold the office till pleasure of governor. They hold office till pleasure of governor. But this pleasure cannot be withdrawn by the governor on his own whims and fancies. The pleasure can only be withdrawn when the chief minister advises. Okay, but here governor saying that I'll withdraw the pleasure on my own understanding, that is not which is provided in the constitution. Then after that, what happened recently? Supreme Court basically invalidated the Kerala Technological University's VC's appointment, because it was said that it did not happen as per the UGC guidelines. So the Kerala Technological University's VC's appointment was said that it is wrong. But what happened? Governor then asked 11 other vice chancellors of other universities also that you should also be resigning. Now, this is something which has created a lot of confrontation and frictions between government and governor. And now, what has happened? Kerala government has passed a new bill, that is that is has passed the University Law Amendment Bill. This University Law Amendment Bill will aim to amend the laws which relates to governance of state universities. Now, what is the major feature of this particular bill? It is that it will amend the statutes, that is the laws of the 14 universities which is established by the acts of the Kerala, and the governor will be removed as from the position of chancellor. So right now the governor acts as chancellor of universities, and in that capacity governor can direct the vice chancellor's appointment. Governor can also ask at the times to resign the position, to resign the vice chancellors also. So basically the governor's position and as VC is being withdrawn by this particular bill. Now this particular bill will give power to Kerala government that they can appoint eminent academicians as the chancellors of the various universities. So therefore, governor's position will be removed from this thing. Moreover, this particular bill also provides that basically chancellor's position will be restricted to 5 years. And now the justification has been given from the Punchi Commission or Panchi Commission, whatever you want to say. So Panchi Commission on the center and state relations that was formed, it already suggested governor should not be overburdened with the responsibilities such as the role of a chancellor. So Punchi Commission recommended that that particular role should be taken back, and now the Kerala government has suggested that as per the Punchi Commission's recommendations, we have reduced the burden of governor. Okay, this is something that has been provided. Moreover, this will now mean that the power over university administration has gone from the hand of governor and UGC to the state government. Now state government can decide on all these particular kind of matters. Though when this bill was passed, opposition and ruling government were both together, but it has been expressed that there might be the possibility that the state universities will be turned in the fiefdoms, or that is the zone where the state government will prevail supreme. That can happen. However, that should not be the case. So this is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to next article. Now, the next article. Public servants can be found guilty of graft on circumstantial proof. Supreme Court. Okay. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, governance, GS paper number 4, issues of corruption. GS paper number 4, issues of corruption, and in some capacity issues of corruption can also be important for GS2 as well. Okay. Now understand, before going in this particular article, I'll give you some of uh, basic and background information which is important for us to understand. Okay. Now we have Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Now the Prevention of Corruption Act defines the corruption. Defines the corruption. What we understand by corruption? Corruption is any activity where some undue gratification has been derived by a public servant or an office holder. Okay, civil servant or an office holder. Okay. Now what is a corruption? Corruption is not directly taking the money. Corruption is not directly taking some other kind of valuable possession, but if any undue gratification has been taken, if any undue advantage has been taken, that will be called as a corruption. This is the Prevention of Corruption Act. Now under the Prevention of Corruption Act, okay, in order to basically, number one, here a bribe giver and a bribe taker, okay, both can be charged. Now it has been provided that sometimes outright proof is not there that a person has asked a bribe. So in that particular cases, how the corrupt officials will be charged. So Supreme Court has given a clarity in this particular kind of matter. The Constitution bench means the bench having at least 5 judges. Constitution bench has provided that demand and acceptance of bribe or any illegal gratification by a public servant can be inferred by a court on circumstantial proof. Now, what we understand by this word circumstantial proof? Okay, so basically there are certain evidences, certain proofs which don't directly involve, which don't directly prove one person's guilt, but they give a logical inference. They give a logical inference that this person probably have done that XYZ thing. So logical inference, strong logical inference is given, but directly they don't prove. That is circumstantial proof. That is circumstantial proof. For example, there is a, for example, let's say there is a murder that has happened. There is a murder that has happened. And when the murder happened, Mr. X got murdered. Mr. Y was found at that particular crime scene. Mr. Y had a knife in his hand, and this particular knife had the imprints of Mr. Y. And Mr. Y also had a strong motive. Why? Mr. X was enemy of Mr. Y, and Mr. Y was very, very angry, and just few days back some confrontation also happened with Mr. XY. Okay, so there needs to be the means and motive. There needs to be the means and motive. Okay, so both means and motives are there. Y has been found here. So this is a circumstantial proof. Okay, but directly we have not seen Mr. Y killing Mr. X. So concrete proof is not there, but circumstantial logical inference can be made. So in this particular matter, Supreme Court has provided that if just a minute, that if there is a circumstantial proof and if there is no direct evidence, then only on the basis of the circumstantial evidence it will be assumed that there is corruption that has happened. Now Supreme Court has provided that the stink of corruption has a pervasive impact. Corruption impacts every cog of the bureaucracy. It has a pervasive impact on the efficient administration governance of the country. According to Supreme Court, corrupt officials have a demoralizing effect on honest public servants. It's very true. If you are an honest person and if your colleague is not an honest person, you find this basically the honest people find it demoralizing. Fine. This is something. Corruption by public servant has become a gigantic problem. Large scale corruption retards national development. That is very true. So therefore, in order to tame the corruption on circumstantial proof, this particular thing can be tamed. Now the court has also provided that both the bribe giver and bribe demander will be charged under the Prevention of Corruption Act. Is it clear or not? This is something that has happened in this particular direction. Okay, there are two doubts that I can see here. Sir, please explain circumstantial proof and constitution bench. What is a constitutional bench? Constitutional bench is that bench of Supreme Court on which minimum 5 judges are hearing a case. And what is a circumstantial proof? Guys, circumstantial proof is any proof which logically proves that Mr. A or Mr. B is involved, but they don't directly prove. Now, what is a direct proof? Understand this thing. Suppose there is a CCTV footage, and in the CCTV footage, you can see that Mr. Y is killing Mr. X. It is a direct evidence. What is a circumstantial proof? For example, Mr. X got murdered, Mr. Y had a knife in his hand, and there was no one around, and Mr. Y was enemy of Mr. X also. So logically we can prove that we can assume that Mr. Y has killed X, but directly it is not being proved. So there is a direct evidence and then there is a circumstantial evidence. That is all about it. And now we'll move to the next article. So what this article says, that only if there is a circumstantial proof under the Prevention of Corruption Act, an official can be charged. That is, now moving to the next article. Reflections on the fading principle of non-intervention. Okay, now this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, separation of powers. Okay, now understand that this particular article is talking about one particular dimension with respect to the confrontations that is going on right now between the two wings of the state, and which is impacting the theory of separation of powers. Okay, first of all, just basic idea I want to give you. Idea of theory of separation of powers was given by the French philosopher Montesquieu. According to Montesquieu, it's provided that a state constitutes majorly the three wings, that is legislative, executive, and judiciary. And all these three wings needs to stay in their own domain. Legislature, who makes the law, should not interfere in the domain of executive, who executes a law. Judiciary should not interfere in executive, executive should not interfere in judiciary, vice versa. Fine. So this is something that's provided. When we talk about India, in India, we follow the theory of separation of powers, but we don't follow the watertight compartmentalization. At times, judiciary has intervened into the domain of legislature or executive. Now, that interference sometimes has been appreciated, sometimes it has been criticized also. Fine. Sometimes it has been criticized, sometimes it has been appreciated. It depends for the context in which the judiciary has interfered. Now, the article is saying that separation of powers is there in Indian Constitution, and this separation of powers is a very important ideal of Indian Constitution. Recently, President also said that Constitution is an outline map for good governance. Constitution gives us how good governance is to be carried. So therefore, the Constitution provisions are to be followed in theory as well as in spirit. The most crucial aspect, fine, is the separation of functions, the divisions between the three organs of the state. This is something that happened. Now, in this particular context, the Vice President of India recently provided that the democracy blossoms when its three facets, okay, scrupulously adhere to their respective domains. Means when legislature will make the law, executive will implement the law, and when judiciary will interfere, when judiciary will make sure that all are doing their work. Now, here Vice President said that though this particular principle has been breached now. Why? Because of judiciary, as per the Vice President. Vice President said that frequent incursions have happened, and example of striking down of 99th Constitutional Amendment Act has been given. Now, what is this 99th Constitutional Amendment Act, guys? I have discussed it multiple number of times, but again I'll explain. So, 99th Constitutional Amendment Act led to establishment of National Judicial Appointment Commission. Now, National Judicial Appointment Commission was a body which will be responsible for appointment of Supreme Court judges, High Court judges, and for the transfer of the High Court judges. Right now, the Supreme Court judge, High Court judges appointment is taken by the Collegium of Supreme Court. So, the National Judicial Appointment Commission came to replace the Collegium. But this 99th Constitutional Amendment Act was held as invalid by Supreme Court. And Here it is being said, here it is being said that lawmaking is that work of parliament. And what Supreme Court did? Supreme Court striked a law which was made by the parliament, okay, which is not correct. Okay, Supreme Court right now, basically guys, here as 99th Constitutional Amendment Act is there, so Article 368 comes in between. So Article 368 provides for the amendment of the constitution, and parliament can carry that particular amendment, but Supreme Court invalidated this particular amendment. So what has happened? There is the disturbance of the theory of separation of powers. This is something that has happened, which the vice president has criticized. Now the vice pres the it has also been provided by the vice president that this was the historic parliamentary mandate. Why? Because almost all the parties were support in this particular NJAC's favor. Moreover, in past, even certain members of judiciary have also accepted that nepotism and favoritism has prevailed in judicial appointments, and it's very important to reform the appointment process in judiciary. And for such kind of an appointment, National Judicial Appointment Commission was brought, but that was held as unconstitutional. Now Supreme Court held that unconstitutional on the basis of theory of basic structure of the constitution. Okay, now it's been said that it is unparalleled in a democratic history. Okay, we need to understand that there are certain basics of the basic structure which needs to be kept in mind, and everything which is just bringing the judiciary into the check, you cannot invalidate that. It is being said. Now this particular statement by the vice president has got support also. Some of has got the support also, and some academicians have criticized the vice president also. It is being said that when we talk about the president's office, when we talk about the vice president's office, they need to act beyond the party lines. They are above the politics. But here the vice president might have given this particular statement under some kind of a political influence. That can be that can be the thing. Is it clear? So this is something that is the issue in which is being discussed in this particular article. However, many of the references, many of the expressions that have been given in the article are not that much important for examination. Now we'll move to the next article. Is the RTA Act fulfilling its purpose? Okay. Now we'll understand this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, critical evaluation of the laws and statutes. Okay, now, okay, one more thing I want to tell you here, that when we talk about GS2, GS paper number 3, I try to give you a part where it will be used. Now understand this particular thing. If you see the syllabus, there are certain things which are directly explained, but there are certain other topics which are not directly there in the syllabus, but you have to logically infer them. Okay, so there is often, when we talk about the parliament and the legislatures working, okay, when we talk about the laws, the critical evaluation of the law will logically be deduced from there. Now basically the law, this particular article is talking about RTI Act of 2005. Now RTI Act, that is Right to Information Act, has been hailed as an important development in democratic history of India. Understand this particular thing, that when we talk about information, it's being provided by Thomas Jefferson. Said this thing, that information is a currency of democracy. As a currency makes an economy viable, in that same way information makes the democracy viable. When we talk about information, understand this particular thing, that information leads to enlightenment. Enlightenment leads to empowerment, and empowerment is the core of democracy. So information directly will lead to strengthening of democracy. And when we talk about democracy, fine, democracy, and when we talk about the democracy, India, being a welfareist democracy, okay, has to make sure that information at all the ways are being given to the people. In this particular direction, RTA Act of 2005 came, which provides the right to the people that they can access the information from the public authorities. The public authorities have to nominate a PIO, Public Information Officer, which has to give information to the public. Only that information cannot be given which is confidential or which is exempted. Apart from that, all information is to be given. This is something that has been provided. Now, the RTA Act has been an empowering legislation. It has empowered a lot of people. Fine. When we talk about the RTA Act, we understand this particular thing that under the RTA Act, the government is bound to respond in a time bound manner. Okay, and on the basis of information that the people are getting, on the basis of that particular information, they can hold the government accountable for their actions, for their works. Okay, now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the RTA application, uh, in this particular context, we understand this particular thing that often the citizens, often the citizens, okay, they pay the taxes, okay, they pay the taxes, they follow the laws, okay, and if they are paying the taxes, if they are following the laws, the citizens also have the right to hold the state accountable. we have we have the social contract theory, we have social contract theory, and as per this social contract theory, it's being provided that the state will be accountable, will be bound to the people. So by the RTA, people can know that where the taxpayers money is being used, where the abuses of the power that has been done by the government, and by this particular thing, some big ticket corruptions have also been unearthed. For example, Adarsh scam, Commonwealth Games scam, Vyapam scam. Okay, all these particular scams came to limelight because of the RTA information that was availed. Now, when we talk about the RTA Act, this RTA Act is still effective, though there have been the attempts to dilute its efficacy. Often, but still, the act is very much powerful. Officers still think twice before replying to an RTA query. But over the years, we find this particular thing that systemic attempts have been made to dilute RTA. What are these systemic attempts? Fine, let's understand them. Number one, suppose, guys, you have made an RTA request to one government ministry. Let's say you have asked some information to a ministry, or let's say you have asked information from some particular government organization. Now, within the ministry, within the organization, there will be the multiple divisions that will be there. Suppose you send the RTA to division A. You send the RTA to the division A. Now, what the RTA or PIO, Public Information Officers, are doing, they are using these kind of reasons. They say that the division does not have the information that you have asked. Suppose in an organization, there are 20 divisions. You have sent your RTA request to division A. They say that we don't have information, but they are not even telling you that then which division has the information. Now it is on the applicant that he has to find which division is containing information, and to that particular division they have to apply. Is it clear or not? Now, in this particular understanding, guys, what is happening? So basically, the liability is put onto applicant that they need to identify that which officer is having information and which office is holding that particular information. Now, this particular thing is going against the spirit of the RTA Act. When we talk about RTA Act, it was provided that the liability is on the officer to find out who is holding information and transfer RTA application to that particular division. So let's say if there are the 10 divisions and you have sent RTA to division A, but actually this RTA should have been sent to the division E. So this division itself will send it to division E. Rather than giving you back, they have to send it to the suitable division, but they are not doing that particular thing. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Moreover, in many of the cases, there are the outright denial also that's there. Information is not being given, and this is illegal. It goes against the RTA Act. Okay, so this is something. Now a question comes. That why government is not sharing information? Why the departments are not sharing information? There are certain reasons in this, but there are many reasons in this particular thing. Reason is that there has been the resistance from the very beginning, first of all. Secondly, there are the ulterior motives that are being taken up. They will get unearthed if the RTA information will be given. It can expose the corruption. And there is also a general apathetic attitude also in the government to not to share information. Fine, resistance have been there from the very beginning. Now there are other problems also that prevails. Number one problem is there that the government often is not encouraging the information seeking behavior. Government is neither empowering people nor educating the people nor appreciating when people are asking information. And then next is that government is also not properly maintaining the data sets of information. For example, there was, when we talk about the information with respect to the COVID-19, find how many people lost their lives due to the lack of oxygen, how many number of migrant workers are there. Government simply said that we don't have any information. So government is not maintaining the data sets in this particular direction. Even the 2021 census has not happened till now. And as 2021 census, moreover, government has even postponed the 2021 census. They don't even have given any timeline then that when it will be released. So on that particular basis also, much of information's retrieval got restricted. So in this particular direction, it has been provided that government needs to understand the spirit of the RTA Act 2005, and in the entire spirit the information is to be shared. Public information officers need to be understood their duties, okay, and the spirit should be fulfilled. So that is all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Okay, moving on. Good morning, sir. Can you provide a total monthly news as PDF? It will be so useful to us. Okay. Okay, guys, I'll try that whether that particular thing can be done, because guys, understand, see, one thing I'm telling you very frankly is that often, guys, I have said this particular thing that the initiative and everything's viability depends on the support that we get for the initiative, because that particular thing needs to be seen anyhow. Okay, so we can start the initiatives, but it only depends on the support that the initiative gets. Okay, so uh, if that is possible, I'll try to do that thing. Sir, how can a person know that which division is that of his information required? Okay, that is exactly the problem, that people will not know that particular thing. Okay, that is the problem. US created Indo-Pacific concept to contain China. US created Indo-Pacific concept to contain China. Now, guys, basically what has happened, the USA, one of the diplomat of China has criticized USA, as USA is creating the Indo-Pacific framework of countries. Indo-Pacific idea which is being floated by the USA, it has been criticized by China. China's diplomat had said this particular thing, that actually there is no such concept of Indo-Pacific. There was Asia Pacific that was there and the Pacific that was there. There is no concept of Indo-Pacific. Now, Indo-Pacific concept is deliberately created by the United States to bring the partners such as India to contain China. Now the China is saying that it was not possible for USA to contain China if USA would have taken the help from the small nations of the Asia. So therefore it needed a bigger entity into the name of India, and to involve India, the new idea of Indo-Pacific has been created by USA. Okay, now it is being provided that the Asia Pacific allies were not enough to contain China. They wanted to bring the countries such as the India, France, and therefore the Indo-Pacific idea has been created. Now understand this thing, even the France calls itself as a Indo-Pacific country. China is saying that France is not at all an Indo-Pacific country, but it is calling itself that particular thing. Now understand this particular thing. Basically we find this particular thing that the Beijing or the China is very critical of USA's, because of the USA's idea of quadrilateral security dialogue. AUKUS is there, Indo-Pacific economic framework is there. So as these groupings are being made, the China has said that these groupings are against the China only. And even the Indo-Pacific strategy, okay, or the Quad has also been called as the Indo-Pacific version of NATO. Now, India has strongly pushed against China's invoking of NATO as a comparison to the Indo-Pacific, okay, or to the Quad. India had said that neither India is a US's ally or not the Quad is a military alliance. Okay, moreover, India has also very clearly said that USA is not bringing any tension, USA is not stoking any tensions into the India-China relations. It is because of the China's own adventurism that India-China relations are getting impacted. Okay. Fine. So this is just a viewpoint that was expressed by the Chinese diplomat. Okay. Now, guys, this article comes in everyday newspaper. So I think from last 10-12 days, not even a single day has went when this article has not come. Need a new appointment system to fill vacancies in higher judiciary, law minister. Now, see this particular thing. I have told you that right now there is a confrontation going on between the law ministry and the Supreme Court, where Supreme Court says this particular thing, that the government is not the president who has to appoint the Supreme Court and High Court judges is not appointing the judges even when the collegium has recommended the names. But the law ministry and the government is saying this particular thing, that Supreme Court collegium system needs to be reformed. That system is not very much perfect. It needs to be reformed. And in this particular thing, every day some comments are being passed either from judiciary or from law ministry. You are not required to follow that commentary every day. Now what has happened, the same thing has been repeated again, that we need a new appointment system to fill vacancies in the higher judiciary. What this new system can be? NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission. Okay, so it is being provided. Now fine, so same thing has been provided. So it is being provided that there is around 30% vacancy. Okay, 777 judges were working against 1108. You don't need to remember the exact number. So around 30% vacancies are there. Now, basically in this particular direction, it's being provided that to fill these vacancies, 147 proposals at various stage are there. Okay, fine, that is happening. But up till now, much efficiently the decisions are not being taken up. Why? Because this particular system is something which needs some tweak, it needs some change. So these numbers you don't need to remember, that how many judges are right now appointed, how many proposals are under consideration, because these particular numbers will change every coming day. So that's not something that you need to go too much into the detail. Okay, just heading is more than sufficient. Everyday development is not important. We'll see in the days to come that how this particular matter will culminate. That is all about it. And now let's take the mains practice question for today. So mains practice question says that RTI is a vital reform to help activists and individuals to ensure transparency and accountability in governance. In this context, analyze, is the RTA Act fulfilling its purpose? Okay, so this will be a GS paper number 2, 10 marker question. Okay, so that is all guys about this today. I hope that you have understood it, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. So that is all for today guys. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourself.